Hello everyone, my name is Graffiti, the only person who thinks Star Wars Outlaws was actually pretty good. Nope, that's not a joke. I'm allowed to have my own bad opinions, thank you very much. A few months ago, a friend and fellow content creator, Lion, made a video about the problem with games journalism. This video is sort of my response / my take on the same topic, so please go watch his video if you haven't already, it's in the description. So, game journalism has been talked about unfavorably for several years now, to the point where some of the biggest content creators in the world are calling out how stupid these reviews can be. Moist Critical, Scott the Woz, Dunkey, all making fun of IGN, Kotaku, Polygon, and all of the rest. And now it's my turn to throw my hat into the ring and discuss what is wrong with them. But what makes me different from them? Well, I have a journalism degree. I mean, I guess so did Lion, so, what's the difference between me and him? Well, I guess I'm black. Yes, you heard me right, I am a graduated bona fide journalist, and if you need proof, feast your eyes on this. Yeah, that's right, there is absolutely nothing in here. So, I want to talk about what the issue with game journalism is, why it's still such a problem, and why I believe that not all the blame lies on them. Some of it may lie on the gamers. I know, gamers doing something wrong? Oh, they would never! Let's do a bit of a thought experiment. You walked into a GameStop and bought a brand new video game that you were super excited to get. Because of your excitement, you didn't go online to see what other people thought about the game. You just got it home and you play it, and you find yourself having a fantastic time enjoying the game. The graphics are great, the story is genuinely moving, and the gameplay is on point. You enjoy it so much, in fact, that you finish the entire game over a weekend, all without even checking the internet. You sigh that satisfied yet bittersweet sigh of beating a game you love, and then finally you look online and... No, this can't be! You like this game, it was fun, but everyone seems to despise it, calling the writing trash, the gameplay boring, and even the graphics you thought were so good, people are calling the worst name they can think of. Unreal Engine slop. Now, pause. You are just an individual, meaning you can enjoy the game in silence and move on with your life, accepting that not every game is made for every person, and that game just happened to hit you in the perfect way. Now, imagine for a moment that you had this exact same scenario, but you are a game journalist. You now have to write your review for a game you enjoyed, knowing full well that people are going to tear you apart. It's a lot of pressure, and because of how game journalism works, it's confusing to know whose voice is even speaking. Now, this whole video is not in defense of game journalism, but I do want to make it clear how bad the games journalism system is. When I write a review of a game like I used to in the days of yore, it was just my opinion, and people watching, however few of you there were, knew my feelings towards the game. I think it was Dunkey who, regardless of how you feel about him, regularly be speaking facts, that said that each game review should be an extension of the last, so that we as viewers can get a better understanding of the reviewer, and so we can understand if their beliefs and passions for certain things in games align with our own. With how the current system is set up, the opinion could be coming from literally hundreds of different people, but they're all just put up as an IGN review or as a Polygon review. Look at the film industry. You have reviewers like Roger Ebert, Gene Siskel, A.O. Scott, and when you see a review from them, you understand what they respond to in a film and what they tune out. The same is true for YouTube movie reviewers, Jeremy Johns, Chris Stuckman, the Red Letter Media guys, me 2 videos ago. Sorry, I had to plug that one because damn, it f***ing bombed. And there are game review outlets who do this, but they're very few and far between. So when you see IGN give an 8 out of 10 to a game that almost everyone hates, that's not the opinion of a company. That is one person who just happened to respond favorably to a game. And the same is true for more negative reviews. Now, I am about to ruin my credibility with some of you in a sec, so please brace yourselves. I don't like Halo. No, not modern Halo. I haven't played modern Halo. I'm talking Halo Combat Evolved. I plan to eventually make a whole video about why, because honestly, when I first started playing it and wasn't having a good time, I didn't know why I was having such a big disconnect with the game. I also do not like Elden Ring, despite my many attempts to enjoy that game. I have not found any reason to keep trying. It's just not enjoyable to me. Now, I like Lies of P, and I like Doom 2016, two games that are in many ways comparable to the other two. So what's the disconnect? Well, if I reviewed enough games, you would eventually come to find what it is I don't like about these games, and what I like about the others. You would learn that I have a generally terrible sense of direction, both in games and in real life. I'm like real life Zorro, except I don't have green hair and I still have my melanin. I also like stories that are linear start to finish affairs. I enjoy a good choice-based game, but I like those choices to be clear. I like difficulty in my games, but not at the expense of being able to explore where I want, when I want. I am perfectly okay with linearity in a game. I do not subscribe to the notion that open world games are the end-all be-all of game design. To me, it's just another type of game. With the way game journalism works, if I stated that I don't like Elden Ring and I was contracted to do the review for the game, someone probably would have blown up their headquarters because it feels like the opinion of the whole company when it's just one guy who didn't connect with a game. Now, that's not to say that some of these reviews are not in bad faith. Many absolutely are. Like, even in my dislike of Elden Ring, I know that the game is a great time for other people. Like my brother, who constantly says it's a skill issue that I don't like the game. It's not a skill issue, I beat Celeste B-Sides, I don't wanna fucking hear it! With these companies being the first to break the news of what people think of a game, their opinions matter more than a singular person's. Even though it's still the opinion of a singular person. And when the review isn't the commonly held opinion, here come the gamers to be the first to say,
"Oh yeah? You think hentai furry Jenga is only a 5 out of 10? Well, your opinion is invalid. It doesn't even matter to me at all. It doesn't get to me, I swear. I'm fine."
Hey y'all. If the opinion doesn't matter, and you keep saying that it shouldn't, why are we going through this song and dance every time a game comes out? Like, if their opinions don't bother you, then the best way to stop them from influencing other people is to just not talk about them. One recent one that comes to mind is the Mouse PI situation. You knew this was coming. An IGN reviewer rated Mouse PI kinda low, and people lost their fucking minds. But I read the review and was like, yeah, that sounds about right. People were so mad at this guy for saying that the cheese puns get annoying or that the sound effects don't feel right. And I don't know, those seem like things that you can't really dispute in either direction. That's just personal opinion. For me, a bad review happens when someone either gets something wrong or doesn't even bother finishing the game, which IGN is very much guilty of. But this review, is it a little mean? I mean, I guess, but if you like the game, why should this review even matter to you? Like, just go back to playing the game. And I am absolutely not immune to this. Bad reviews of games I like have and will piss me off, but I think moving on from them and just realizing that something was not for them or was not for me is the best way to deal with this. Okay, one more example that makes gamers look weird and then I will move on. Mixtape. This one was so insane to me. Critics loved this game so much, and it makes perfect sense because a lot of the reviewers who reviewed it lived in the era that it was paying homage to. People were out for blood. Look at this game that has no gameplay in it. You can't even lose, it just boots you back to before you lost.
Hey buddy, you just blowing from Stupid Town?
It's not a game that needs a kill screen, so it doesn't have one. What are we doing? People went from like a few months ago being mad at a negative review to being mad at a positive review. And it's like, dude, what are we doing here? Does any of this even matter? Like, yes, review scores can positively and negatively impact a game's success or failure. For your own personal enjoyment or displeasure with a game, how much impact should you let a review have over you? I just said that I didn't like two very universally loved games, and at the top of this video I said I like Star Wars Outlaws. How, besides your opinion of me, do those three factoids affect you? Now, I've been throwing a ton of shit at gamers, but game journalists, you are not off the hook at all, because you cannot treat a game like a movie. They are very different things and cannot be reviewed the same way. When you review a movie, you watch the movie and then talk about that movie. In that order. In that order! The same is technically true of games, but games are an interactive medium, which makes the process both much more involved and much more varied. There's a lot of nuance in game design, which makes it possible for mishaps and miscommunications between the player and the game to happen. But sometimes, those mishaps are directly the fault of the player. Everyone talks about the infamous Cuphead debacle, and yes, that was embarrassing as hell, but it proved a few things. 1. Sometimes someone shouldn't review a game they aren't ready to review. Not to say that they should only pick people who would like the game to review it, but at least pick someone competent. 2. How many times has this happened without us seeing the footage, and then the person says the game is bad because of something that could easily have been avoided by reading an inch of text? Games involve so many more systems, which makes them complicated, meaning the difference between a good game and a bad game is largely personal preference. With films, there's slightly less nuance in what is considered a good film and what is considered a bad film. And there's still a vast variety of opinions on every single movie that comes out. For games, it's even more daunting. There's so much to consider. And when you are given the game one day before it comes out and it's a 60-hour game, what the hell are you supposed to do? There's this rush to get your review score out as quickly as possible, even if that review isn't even complete. There are so many reviews on IGN, Kotaku, and Polygon, and all the rest, where you see the score, and then you read the review and they state, oh, by the way, I didn't even finish the game. Okay, then why should I take your opinion seriously? And yes, you can obviously form an opinion about a game before finishing it. But when you are a reviewer of a top publication for game journalism, you've got to hold yourself to a higher standard, man. This is not Screw Attack, this is not Newgrounds. You are supposedly a journalist. So use those journalism skills to write fully and openly about your experience with a full game. And this doesn't just extend to game reviews. A few years ago, there was a controversy where a reporter from Kotaku UK thought that they had heard a disability slur in the recently released DLC for Super Smash Bros., including Joker and some songs from Persona 5. I'll let you hear it.
Let's go, let's play, retarded, I say.
Now, whether you heard the R word or not is completely irrelevant. If you are writing an article, you do your due diligence, ask around, see what Nintendo, Atlus, and all involved parties have to say before you just release your article. And in this case, refer to your common fucking sense. Nintendo doesn't allow nudity in M-rated games. Why the fuck would you ever think they would allow something like that to slip through the cracks? If you're wondering what it was, it's Lynn, the vocalist for Persona 5, pronouncing "restart it" with her thick accent. Like, come on, dude. There's a distinct lack of diligence in journalism in general in the past, decade, and the reason is largely because of social media changing the landscape of how we get our news and who we trust to give it to us, as well as what I stated in my last video of companies realizing that making us mad keeps us reading and keeps us seeing the ads that they place everywhere. And this has become an even bigger problem recently because, wow, clickbait and grifters have completely taken over online discussion of games, and it has absolutely spilled over into game journalism. This word has been thrown around a million times in the past few years, but it's really been ramping up, especially on Twitter. And publications have been forced to join in, and by forced, I of course mean they want to make the most amount of money possible, and they see this as the only way instead of just being good journalists. I talked about it a bit in my E3/Summer Game Fest video, but every game that comes out has to be this big culture war.
Look at this woman in this game, she's not hot enough, or she's too hot. Or look at this dude in this game, he's taking orders from others, that makes him look passive and effeminate. Look at this character, she looks like a toddler.
Which I guess I am like the only person in the world who can't see it. Is my face blindness that bad?
Look at this strong woman in this game, they want to replace you. Is that a black man? We can't have that wokeness in my game.
Shut the fuck up. What do these words even mean? What is woke? I know what it used to mean. It was a way for black people on the internet to describe that they were aware of some sort of injustice that was taking place. I'm woke to this thing happening in my community. Now it means anything that has anything to do with a race or gender or identity that a certain group doesn't want to have to interact with or see. And the gaming talk on this is so exhausting. I don't need it anymore. Being a Pragmata fan when that game came out was exhausting. One side was saying they made this child too hot. Hey, if you ever say that sentence unironically, I think you need to pull one of these. And then the other side was saying, like, this game is finally awakening the woke lib wombs. Hey, if you ever say that sentence unironically, I think you need to pull one of these. And journalism is not at all immune to this. The amount of clickbaity titles I've seen where it's just Kotaku pulling together a bunch of tweets from random ass people and then at the end of the article saying,
I don't know, what do you think?
Is asinine. And man, everyone is now incentivized to be a contrarian, which doesn't make you interesting, by the way. Having genuine opinions makes you an interesting person. Just a few days before I started writing this video, an article from VGC came out about how everyone is loving Splatoon Raiders, and they put in this sentence that many said was completely pointless. The title is, Splatoon Raiders is currently the 7th greatest game of all time on Metacritic, according to user score. While not necessarily a true indicator of quality, the results at least show a dedicated following. Now let's look at that sentence. Many were like, what is the point of saying this? Why are you putting this game down randomly in the middle of this? And let me tell you a secret. That was the point of them saying that. I haven't thought about VGC in ages, and now people are talking about how stupid it was for them to put that sentence in there, giving them the exposure they wanted from the beginning. It's attention seeking at an astronomical scale, and it feels impossible to fight. So what are you supposed to do? How can you fight against all these people saying stupid shit about games with the express purpose of getting a rise out of you? Well, it's gonna take changing the way you look at game journalism. Let me give you some tips. First, toss out IGN, Kotaku, Polygon, all the mainstream publications. What I want you to do is go on YouTube, watch a review for a game you enjoy, and if the person you watch likes it too, then go to that same channel and find a game that you don't like, watch that review, and if they don't like it, congratulations, you have found your first reviewer to trust. Second, I want you to do the exact opposite. Find a game you love and find a reviewer who doesn't like it, and find a game you don't like and find someone who loves it. Here is your second frame of reference. Why get both? Because you're an individual, and while you think you would agree with the first person far more, and maybe you will, chances are you will agree with option B like 30% of the time. And depending on the game, that could genuinely be the deciding factor on whether you will spend your hard-earned money on it. Also, I like to avoid echo chambers that prop up what I believe, just so I can see other perspectives. But people who I can tell are just being divisive to piss people off, I block immediately. It's very funny because often for a lot of game discourse now, I'll see quote tweets and then the tweet in question is hidden and I can go, ah, it was someone who is spewing bullshit and now everyone is mad, and I can move on with my day. I often watch a lot of people I disagree with. I like JRPGs a lot. Some of my favorite games are RPGs. I watch both Scott the Woz and Dunkey, who both have said on many occasions that they do not at all get into games like that. Why? Because to me, their opinion still has value even if I don't agree with them 100% of the time. In terms of movies, I watch The Nostalgia Critic pretty often, and I very rarely agree with him, but I think he's entertaining and that he is almost always being pretty fair to whatever he is watching, and not just hating it for attention, but because that's just actually what he believes. Differences in opinions don't have to make us angry at each other. It's fun to discuss why something connected with you and why it didn't connect with someone else. Now, there is one more thing I want to talk about before I go back to playing Xenoblade again, and it's something that I've noticed from some reviewers recently. Now first, I want to state that I have no issue with this reviewer and I'm not going to mention who it is. Anyway, he was making a video discussing what he likes about games, and he said something very sad. That reviewing games is his job, and as such, the nature of a job is not to have fun, it's to get the job done. So years ago, he stopped judging games based on how much fun they were and just tried to judge the technical aspects and things like that. That sounds like my worst f***ing nightmare. I remember watching his end of the year video where he counted all the games he liked and hated, and he ended up putting Split Fiction in his worst of the year category, and I remember going like, what? How is that possible? My friend Matthew and I had the time of our lives playing that game, laughing to literal tears at some of the shit that happens in it. Then he explained that he thought the story and writing was terrible, and I can't necessarily disagree. It's not the best of the best, and it definitely is a step down from It Takes Two in terms of narrative. It's significantly more camp, but I love the game because I had a fun time playing it with my best friend. But for him, fun had zero to do with his enjoyment because he believes that his job is to be objective and professional. I have 113 subscribers as of the writing of this script. This obviously isn't my job at all, but imagining a timeline where I somehow make it and start being able to do this full time, paying bills, getting an apartment, and all of that, to eventually have it just simply feel like another job is genuinely my biggest fear about this whole thing. You have one of the greatest jobs in the world. You play video games for a living and you've somehow lost the spark that got you to chase that passion in the first place. And I honestly don't think he's the only one. I think this happens a lot when you turn a passion into a job and do it for a long time. But I think if you get to that point, you need to take a really long look in the mirror and determine whether this is healthy or good for you anymore. Go back and play one of your childhood favorites, and if it does nothing for you, it might be time for you to move on for your own mental health. Gaming is one of the most rewarding hobbies you can have. You can make friends, experience some of the greatest stories in all of fiction, make connections, and gaming has the capacity to change lives. Celeste is one of my favorite games of all time, and I don't know if I would be here without it opening my eyes with its story and presentation. And being a journalist covering some of the most fascinating pieces of media in human history grants you the ability to share those stories and your opinions on them on a broader stage. So please, journalists, if you are listening to this, enjoy that job. And publishers, don't be afraid to do the hard-hitting stories that people need to know. Break stories on workplace abuse in gaming companies. Break stories on union busting and sexual assault allegations. Break stories on CEOs abusing their power because we all know it's happening. So jump on it. Well, that's about all the time we have for today. Join me next time where I burn even more bridges for publications I definitely didn't apply for at some point. Look, if they act like they don't want the job, I'll surely fucking take it.